My question is something I've struggled with for a while, but my ex-boyfriend, we broke up. He was very angry at me and blamed me for everything, and I opened my house and let him take his things, and he took his and mine too. He took things of mine that he denies taking. And I couldn't really discuss it because I felt I need to master myself and all my feelings about it all. Have you any suggestions?
Well, one nice thing about relationship struggles is that the relationship in all of its detail puts more emphatic details into your vibrational escrow. So what you call future manifestation and what we call your now vibrational reality are better for it. Hard to accept that maybe, but unless you accept it, then the struggle just goes on and on and on and on. Did it surprise you that some of your things, did he take everything or just the best stuff?
He took things that they were my artwork. They have only value to me is to hurt.
Well, so do you know that for sure, or did they have value to him? Was it part of you that he wanted to keep with him?
I can't speak for him.
You just did, though. You just spoke for him.
You're right.
You just spoke for him in a very negative way.
Forgive me.
So why not speak for him in a more why not give him the benefit of the doubt? And the reason that we say that is he doesn't really deserve it, but you do. In other words, does it feel better to you to think that these things were just meaningful to him and it was hard for him to let you and them go? Or does it feel better to you that he's just belligerent and carrying on in a negative way still? Which of those feels better to you?
The former.
Then that's the one to focus on. In other words, giving not only him but yourself the benefit of choosing something that feels better. So we ask you the question, did it surprise you that he took them?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm not a person who would do that myself, and that he wanted to hurt me also. Those things were...
But wait, so you didn't expect him to do it because, not because you're not a person who would do that, but because you didn't see him as a person who would do that.
Yes.
So what's hurting you is not even that he took the stuff, it's that the version that you've conjured, because as you said, you don't know and you can't speak for him, the version that you've conjured separates you from who you really are and how you really want to feel. You're feeling the negative emotion, but the negative emotion that you're feeling is about your separation with you, not about your separation from him or the subsequent stuff that he did. So it did surprise you that he took the stuff. Did it surprise you that he denied it afterward?
I think as we got closer to the end, I began to see things in him that made me nervous, afraid, which is why I needed to separate.
All right, so this is what we were reaching for with those questions. You had, through your exposure to him, begun to develop some expectation that didn't feel good when you found it. In other words, you came to expect unpleasant, struggling things from him and found them. The most significant thing is that out of that you have carved a better vibrational escrow. Can you accept that at all?
Sure. I think he's been a great teacher in many ways for me.
All right, so if it's true, and it is, that your better off escrow is there for you, and as you make your way into that vortex, you'll look back on him with appreciation for what he helped you carve out. If you're feeling anger or something that doesn't feel good, that simply means you're looking at him, but not from inside the vortex.
I still want the stuff.
Well, can you accept that there's more better stuff in the vortex? It's a stretch, but try, because if you can't accept that, then you haven't heard anything that we've said today. If you can't accept that in other words, we know that it feels wrong for somebody to take something from you. We understand that. But the fact is, you cannot control what others are doing, and what we're wanting to say to you is that wouldn't have happened. That stuff wouldn't have gone, and there wouldn't be denial about it if there wasn't a substantial amount of expectation coming from you. Have you ever behaved in a way that afterward you were just embarrassed by it, but it just felt like that person just sucked it out of you?
Yeah, sure.
You have an expression, the devil made me do it. In other words, it's just the last thing that you meant to stoop to, or the last thing that you meant to do, but it was like they just sucked it out of you. Really is happening vibrationally. The reason that it came from you in the way that it did is because they can't buck your current. Your expectation, and you see, you were keeping that vibration alive deliberately. This is the most important thing for you to hear from us. You were fanning the flames of your dissatisfaction with that person in order to justify the departure that you had planned. So as you beat the drum of all of the reasons that you needed to go, you set up a vibrational expectation that extracted from that person something that he never would have offered. He would have never taken that stuff under more normal conditions, but you evoked it from him because you were fanning the flames in order to justify your departure.
I relate to it and I understand it. I think I was very in love and hard pressed to leave, and so I did do that so that I wouldn't get sucked in any further.
Yes. So now you understand how you attracted that from the situation. But even so, the nice thing about creation is, so your stuff disappeared, you want it back. In other words, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. But the reason that you're holding it apart from you is because you dumped all of that away. In other words, you're afraid to let your stuff back for fear he'll come with it. So you got this thing going on where I want my stuff, but I don't want you, but I want my stuff, but I don't want you, but I want my stuff, but I don't want you. You see what's going on? In other words, there's a split energy. So now we want to give all of you this picture, this understanding of what happens in relationships, because as there are two of you, and let's say that you have this set of desires, intentions, beliefs, and let's say that he has a different set of intentions and desires and beliefs. And there's a tendency to feel in competition with each other, or at war with each other, or like in order to live together that he has to convince you or you have to convince him. In other words, that's what compatibility is. That's what humans think. But what we want you to understand is that if you are focused upon what you want and why you want it, and you're in the vortex and thinking about the relationship the way you want it to be, and your life experience the way you want it to be, and the way someone treats you, and the way someone knows you, and the way someone keeps the environment around, and in other words, all of the details of life that you carve out as you move through relationships, if you focus upon the things that you want, hold true to that, like the source within you does, then law of attraction has to deliver to you a life like that. But you usually don't do that, because you or whoever is standing in this example, because usually you think about what you want, but you think about what that person wants, which is different than what you want. So instead of you being vividly true to what you want, you've got a mixture of what you don't want in there. So you've got all mixed in with what you want, what he wants, and he's got all mixed in with what he wants, what you want. So neither one of you are true to what you want. So neither one of you are getting what you want, and you're both blaming each other for standing in a place of not having what you want. So the only way that you can get back in alignment with who you are is to focus upon the vortex, focus on how you feel, coach yourself thought by thought, subject by subject, back into alignment with who you really are. Because the greatest gift that he has given you, and it's a big one, is that you feel how out of sorts you are when being in alignment is what you most seek. We can feel, when you said your love was so big, we know that that is so. Your alignment with who you are mattered more to you. You felt like you were sacrificing who you really are for that relationship. Now, that wasn't true. But that was the story, the way you were telling it, you see. Because the only way that you can sacrifice who you are for someone else is to repeatedly find thoughts that make you feel bad. In other words, you don't have to give up your alignment with who you are. So even though there was so much about that relationship and about that person that you loved, it felt like you couldn't have it all. And what we're saying to you is you can have it all, because it's such an interesting thing. In the same way, In the same way that you evoked from this person who did not plan to take your stuff, the taking of your stuff because of your expectation, you came because of his behavior and your inability to focus beyond it. In other words, you were just observing what was happening and then offering a vibration of what was happening. So you became an enabler or a perpetuator of that behavior. Does that make sense? Could have said, well, this isn't really about he doesn't really want to boss me around. It's something that we've got going on, or it's something that he had going on before, or it's just a characteristic that he's got going, but it isn't who he is. And out of it, I've created a much better relationship over here in my vortex, which could very well include him if I would align with that. In other words, do you see how often people move from relationship to relationship because you observe a characteristic that is unpleasant? And as you observe it, you offer a vibration about it, and so you keep evoking it. And then it feels like the only way to free yourself of something unwanted is to walk away. Only when you walk away, you take all of those vibrational patterns with you, so it just keeps turning up. So what we are suggesting to you, we're as in the wonderful conversation that we had with our friend just now, we're not encouraging you to take action and jump back into that relationship, but we are encouraging you to make peace with this person. And even with the fact that this person has taken your things, does it help you at all when you hear us say he took them against his will because your expectation was so strong? The reason we're asking, this is really a leading edge conversation we're having. You are either the creator of your experience or you are not. And the thing that is confusing in relationships is that it feels to you like he played a really big factor in how your life was turning out. And we don't agree with that at all. You are the factor. Your relationship with your inner being is the factor. And because you weren't in alignment with who you are, and you weren't determined like you are today, and like more of you are today, to stay in your vortex, you kept observing and therefore perpetuating the thing you did not want until you parlayed it into something that felt like the only way out of it was just to walk away. Only you're not out of it yet, and never will be until you get into your vortex and then look at the relationship from inside the vortex. And when you're inside your vortex, looking at that relationship, you will see this person as much more well-meaning than not, with many more positive aspects than negative, playing out a drama that the two of you created together, capable of also coming into alignment with who he really is, not wanting for a minute to boss anyone around. But when you're out of the vortex, often it feels like, when Esther's out of the vortex, she wants to control everyone. She wants to control traffic. She wants to control the people in the hotels. She wants to control her employees. She wants to control Jerry. And you would think that she would have given that up long ago, because he has proven himself to be uncontrollable. Completely uncontrollable. He will not stand on his head in one small way to satisfy her fit. Not one time ever. Not one time ever. Ooh, we came full circle in all of that, didn't we? Don't you love gaining control of your own experience? Don't you like knowing that you are the creator of your own reality? Don't you like knowing that people behave as you expect them to, and that you have much more control over what you expect than what you observe? Don't you like knowing that you have the power? In other words, when you've observed something unpleasant, you've put something opposite of that in your vortex, which you could come to expect. And it is our promise to you that as you spend more time in the vortex, and how do you get in? You just luck in and then milk it. That's really our message to you. Just find yourself in and then just milk it. Just milk it. Just milk it. Just practice it. Affirm. Do 100% of your affirmation inside the vortex. Wait till you get in there, and then do all of your positive thinking, all of your concentration, all of your scripting, all of your statements of what you want. Do them from inside the vortex, and feel the power of the leverage of alignment with the energy that creates worlds, all working for you, you see. And from inside the vortex, it is our promise that you will find yourself happily and easily blessing every one of those rascals that made this vortex possible.